Hey guys, it's Nate from RoundTheWorldCouple.com. We're about a month into our trip now, so I thought it was time to check in and talk about some of the gear that we have bought and been using. And today I'm going to talk about my Google Nexus 5X. I had a lot of expectations for this phone. I actually sold my Note 4 in order to buy this beforehand, and I did that specifically for Project Fi. If you're not familiar with Project Fi is basically Google's, I hate to use this word, attempt to disrupt the cellular phone service. Essentially what it is you roam between public Wi-Fi networks, and then anywhere you can't, they have contracted to basically give you free data roaming. And that's not just in the US, that's in about 160 countries in the world. So the theory is I can get this phone, you can only do the Project Fi with a Google phone, so the Nexus 5X or the 6 or one of their older phones, and I wouldn't have to change SIM cards anywhere in the world. Everywhere I went, I would have data access. International data is only at about a 3G speed, but for a simple 20-30 bucks a month, it's 20 bucks for the plan and then 10 bucks for each additional gigabyte of data. I would have a phone that worked everywhere that we're going to travel. So what's good about this phone? The fingerprint reader is here on the back. This fingerprint reader is exceptional. This is the best design I've seen of this anywhere. It's quick, it's seamless, it's able to handle multiple fingerprints. So I have my right index finger, my left index finger, and my wife's right index finger. So if I hand it to her, she can take photos with it. It's so easy to open. It's much faster than a code or a swipe, and it's really secure. So it's awesome. The camera on this phone is fantastic. We've been repeatedly asked on our blog what kind of camera we're using to take photos. Every single photo is taken with a cell phone. This is also, I really think, a significantly better camera than my wife's 5S. She has an iPhone 5S, so I don't know how the 6s are, but at least for the 5th generation, this camera is far superior. It's much better in low light. We get much better detail. It does much better shots on the go. It's fantastic. It's really the only camera we need. I've literally stopped using my GoPro or other cameras because this one does it all. Charging is super fast with the USB-C charger, and I have a little bit of a complaint about that, but I'll get to it later. But especially because I'm using so much less data while we're on the road, I can go all day with a single charge on this phone. Super easy, no problem. So what about the basic reason I bought it? International roaming. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Everywhere we've gone, I've had texts and phone calls available all the time. Coverage for that has been great. Because it's a US-based Project Fi phone, I have my regular old same number I had when I lived in Chicago, which means all my friends can still text me, they can still call me, and that's worked pretty much everywhere. In terms of data, there have been a few problems which I'll discuss, but generally speaking, it's been pretty good. The speed of the data goes up and down, and there's little various things to it, but the ability to, as you can now download Google Maps offline, combine that with the GPS chip, combine that with like very even light cellular coverage, and this thing is the only map that we've needed in every city we've gone. We're able to find anything we wanted, restaurants or museums or bus routes or anything like that. So it's pretty great in terms of that, and especially compared to when I traveled as a Peace Corps volunteer about 5 or 6 years ago, it is incredibly different. It's a whole different world in terms of accessibility, ability to get information, and ability to navigate where you're going. In addition, I also do really feel like the size of this is great. I had a Galaxy Note 4 before, which is significantly larger. I don't know, significantly, it's bigger. And I think I'm coming around to prior to Apple's iPhone Plus, feeling about the size of a phone, which is to say, if I can't use it with one hand, I probably don't want to use it. In addition to that, because it's smaller, of course, especially because we're in some less developed countries, I don't want to have my phone out all the time. I don't want to have to put it on the table every time I sit down. Smaller phone fits in my pocket, and I think it's actually a better move. I was wondering if I should have gotten, instead of the 5X, the 6P, which is the slightly larger, like iPhone Plus sized phone with the aluminum as opposed to the plastic back, and I'm actually really glad I got the 5X. Plus, it was cheaper. The bad. When we were in Cartagena, which is our first location in Colombia, I could not get any data the entire time I was there. Since then, I've had data pretty much everywhere we've gone. There have been a few weird things where data turns off and I have to restart the phone and then it finds data again. But overall, coverage has been pretty good aside from that one place. The main complaint I have doesn't have to do with the phone itself or the folks at Google. When I didn't have data, I contacted them. I had numerous people contact me. I had a dedicated case manager. I had just a lot of follow-up and feedback from them, and that was great. But it really does seem like a service in development. They knew a lot about how the phone was going to be set up. They knew a lot about how to configure it and the way it should look. It seemed like they knew basically nothing about the actual networks that I was roaming on, which makes perfect sense. This phone's designed to work in 160, 170 countries in the world. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I don't know, 10 cell phone providers in each of those different countries. There's no way those guys are going to know the exact infrastructure or the exact subtleties of all those networks. So they never figured out why I couldn't have data in Cartagena. And then when we got to Medellin in Colombia, it started working just fine. So they were super helpful as much as they could be, but I do think that over the course of the year, I'm definitely going to end up in dead zones where simply because of the way the networks are put together, I'm not going to be able to have data. And that's disappointing. But is it better than me having to switch SIM cards everywhere I go? Is it better than me having not having a Chicago or a United States phone number? Absolutely. So I'm still a really big fan of it. In addition to that, there are a number of weird kind of software and camera problems that have happened that I think relate to data, and I guess it's a pretty unscientific diagnosis. But there are a number of times, I would say 3 or 4 times a week, where I open the camera or open the phone and everything's frozen. And then when I turn off data, the roaming data, everything kind of comes back on. The phone's pretty powerful. It can run tons of apps at once, but it seems like there's something weird about the way it's receiving data or how it has to check for it that causes weird software and hardware problems. When I've been in hotter areas, the phone's actually overheated, so it's done this thing where it seems like it's cycling, looking for data or downloading data over and over and over again, and the phone will actually overheat and I have to turn it off. So again, just weird eccentricities with the way it interacts with the data and the way that it interacts with the hardware on the phone. Not huge deals, and it's what happens when something's in development and it's not a finished complete product. The only other complaint I really have about the phone is going to be the USB-C. So this is a USB-C, which I have a cord here somewhere, but so it comes with its own dedicated fast charger. Fast charger works great, but the USB-C is a different size. It looks different than a micro USB. And in addition, the cable they send you doesn't go regular USB to USB-C. It's all USB-C. So in order to have a fast charger that works, I have to carry a separate dedicated charger. Given the way that we're traveling and given how low we're trying to keep, that's kind of a pain in the ass. Worse than that is the fact that even with an adapter, so I have a USB-C to micro USB adapter, I can't get this phone to connect to a computer. I can't get it connected with Bluetooth. I can't get it. I'm using a MacBook Pro that's brand new. It's a 2015. I can't get it to connect with Bluetooth. I can't get it to connect physically, which means that every picture I take, and obviously we take a lot of pictures. I've got 200 plus photos from the last 2 weeks. I have to download over Wi-Fi. So they go to Google Photos and then I can download them. That's kind of a pain in the butt. I would like to solve that problem. But that is pretty much my only complaint. Overall, I would say the phone is a home run. I would definitely recommend it for international travelers, especially long-term ones. It's really amazing to be able to stay in contact with people in the States using the same old texting number and phone call number. And in terms of emergencies and ease of use, we can land anywhere and I can pull out my phone and know that at the very least I'm going to be able to make phone calls and send texts. So it's pretty great. And I definitely recommend it. If you'd like to know more about some of the other technology and other things that we're carrying on our trip, how they work, you can always check them out at roundtheworldcouple.com. And that is it. Thanks so much for watching. This was kind of a long review, but there's a lot of stuff going on with that phone. See you later.